As the Black Lives Matter movement continues to make waves in cities like Baltimore, Ferguson, and New York, many people trot out the now familiar statistics of how African American men are 7 times more likely to be incarcerated than white men, how just over half all African Americans graduate high school compared to more than 3/4 of whites and Asians. Even in grade school, the disparities are stark, with African American boys being 2.5 times more likely to be suspended than their white counterparts. To get to the root of these disparities, we turn now to author and academic Dr. Terence Fitzgerald. He's a clinical assistant professor at the School of Social Work at the University of Southern California. His new book is called Black Males and Racism, Improving the Schooling and Life Chances of African Americans. His 2010 book was entitled White Prescriptions, The Dangerous Social Potential for Ritalin and Other Psychotropic Drugs to Harm Black Males. He now joins me in studio. Welcome to Uprising.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for joining us. And let's focus first on your new book. I mean, both these books are very fascinating to me, but the latest book, just out this year, Black Males and Racism, Improving the Schooling and Life Chances of African Americans. In the book, you begin by telling a story quite heartbreaking of how you ran into a boy in Illinois during your work there, or after your work there, whom you had first encountered while you were an intern at an elementary school.
Right.
Can you tell us that story?
Well, it was, I had not too long ago had finished my doctoral dissertation, and I was working as a school social worker within the district and in the district in Champaign, Illinois, and I saw this person at a railroad track, and I looked, and he looked really familiar, and as I looked very closely, I realized it was one of my students who one of the first students I had worked with years before, when I was in my undergraduate, as a mentor, and then as a social worker with him as well in elementary school and middle school. And I continue to hold or keep track of him, but we sort of lost touch about maybe 7th or 8th grade. But as I saw him, you know, we locked eyes, and I just remember this was really, it was like everything had stopped, and I went to wave.
And just before you saw your eyes locked, you had noticed an encounter that he had
with
with
another male, and it was a drug encounter, and I could tell that he was selling. And when he and I locked eyes, he knew. It was like an instant messaging that went across that I knew what he was doing, and I could see a sense of shame as well because I had played such a role in his life at an early age, and it was just everything had flooded back at once between us. And before you knew it, he just began to walk away. And the acknowledgement of each other, it just ended.
And you had thought that he was sort of one of the promising ones,
He was.
A lot of intervention.
He was. It was a group of them, but he was such a promising young man. He had, of course, socioeconomic issues, family issues, but so promising, so interested in education, so interested in learning about the world. And as I began to investigate, I began to see how the system itself, his experiences in school, had begun to chip away at the essence of who he wanted to be. And he actually became, as I noted in the book, he fulfilled the perception of the black male, as so many people have, the false perception. And I think that was the shame.